Well, g'day there traders and friends right around the world. It is your humble host James here with you on behalf of Pivot Point Trading as I sit down and break down the markets over the next 6 minutes or so as at the close on Monday afternoon. The Dow Jones Industrial Average today closed up close to 30 points. The candlestick itself is what we call a high wave spinning top. The bulls and all the bears won today's trading session. It is a candlestick reflecting once again indecision in the current marketplace. I find this interesting because here we are, we're right in the middle of resistance and also macro support, and we're in what we call no man's land. It's really a position where if there aren't really great trades out there one direction or another, you really shouldn't be entering into aggressive trades. You need to really cherry pick the best swing trades at this particular moment in time. And as such, I'm going to reference one of those trades in particular, which we were triggered into today as per the pro discussion. Before we get there, however, I want to move into the NASDAQ. I think the NASDAQ is giving us the best signal or the best candlestick to work with as at this Monday afternoon. Now, it's a little bit different to that indecision or that high wave spinning top. It's what we call a hangman type of candlestick. A very bearish candlestick when it occurs at the right location. You need to ask yourself, is this candlestick occurring at the right location? And the answer to that question is yes, it is. This candlestick right here, very similar to the candlestick which we saw on the 28th of April. It is a variation of the hangman type of candle, but it is showing us that we are seeing continued resistance at this macro resistance level. Selling pressure is continuing to force the market lower, at least put a temporary handbrake on the market itself. And you can see that we did trade down on the NASDAQ during today's session. However, there was commitment to the upside. There were buyers willing to buy the bid or take the bid. And as such, we closed very flat, up 12 points on the NASDAQ. Taking a look at the S&P 500, we are still sitting on this very aggressive fan line. It is a fan line which has been in effect since December 2014. We're dancing all around it. We're trading into it. It appears as though we're setting up a little bit of a wedge potentially. You see that little pattern right there with that nice upper resistance level, that declining resistance level. I'm keeping it very close, eye on this chart pattern. If we see any movements below really 2096, we may see a very quick move back down to 2074, even as low as about 2040 on the overall S&P index itself. That's the market analysis as at this Monday. It was some form or somewhat of a non-eventful type of day, really just summed up by the candlestick on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We are in a selection of various trades at this particular moment in time. I want to reference one, however, and that is on Caterpillar. Now, Caterpillar is a trade which we have been stalking for weeks now. We've been waiting for the rollover to take place. We've got so many warning signals aligning very, very well. And it's really a stellar swing trade, in my opinion, to the downside. We are setting up what I believe to be a channel. And as such, if I take a look at the oscillating indicators, you can see the natural oscillation which this particular stock is set up to make. We are looking at lower lows being established in Caterpillar, or at least coming down to about $78 or even $83.06 just to begin the bearish move. Today's candle, we saw once again that hangman type of candle shown or summed up by that long lower wick. We had a continuation entry here at $84.90. Our original entry was up here at $86.36. So you can see that, yes, we are slightly profitable again on the first trade. This was really a continuation trade. But at the moment, I just want to make one thing very clear. It comes down to where you want to place your stop on this particular trade. We have a risk and reward ratio somewhere between 6 to 1. Our reward is 6 times the risk on this individual trade. It's a great trade setup. It's ticking all of the boxes. As such, we have a lot of leeway where we can place our stop. At this particular moment in time, I really feel comfortable placing it about $87.80. That's really going to give us enough room to allow for market noise if it wants to pop up a little bit higher before continuing in the bearish move. I wanted to make that crystal clear for people because I understand that there would be people who probably took the Caterpillar trade based on the analysis which we went over the weekend. So just pay attention. It is a very bearish looking chart. The candlestick itself was really a non-eventful day. We closed up 21 points, but we did see a little bit of volatility come into Caterpillar. And what I find interesting is that it's occurring right on this 50 exponential moving average. Generally, people will look at this and they'll say, look, we're in a bullish trend. And the answer to that question, or the right answer to that question, is no, you're not. I'll correct you and say that, well, look, we're not in a bullish trend yet. We are still establishing lower highs and lower lows, and as such, when we reverse a bearish trend, which we've been in since 2014, it takes time to reverse the trend. Generally, you set up a channel at least, some form of accumulation takes place before you start breaking out and setting up new highs and new lows, i.e., a textbook analysis of a bullish trend. So just pay attention, stay patient in Caterpillar. It may take a little bit of time for the trade to play out. That's fine. We've got all the time in the world. According to our options, if you got into the July puts, which I encourage, it's got enough time for us to hold in to mitigate theta with that high delta in the money. So I do really like this Caterpillar trade. just be mindful of the fact that sometimes you can get caught in an area before we see the continuation of our overall direction in the trade itself. Outside of that, I mean, we can see, Apple today had a non-eventful day. Amazon, still a really great trade set up in Amazon I'm paying very close attention to. Boeing Airlines was an inside day type of candle. You can see our entry here at 143.79. Again, up 73 cents, but in the context of the chart itself, really a non-eventful day, finding support at this most recent little bottom here, going back to early May 2015. Baidu had a nice bullish candlestick, did not close or move below our bearish entry on this particular chart. I don't want to go into too much detail of the open orders, which we have, but pay attention to also Tesla and Netflix as well. IBM's another very neutral trade setup. I still haven't made my mind up. I want to allow a little bit more time on IBM before I get really carried away with a trade on that particular stock. Outside of the market analysis and that individual recap on Caterpillar, I just wanted to address one piece of housekeeping. That comes down to a change which will be made in this week's pro analysis class. Facebook and GoPro are the stocks under debate and have a little bit of contention around them, surrounding them, a little bit of dialogue at least of what we can replace them with. This coming weekend, there will be 2 new additions in our top 13 individual trade list. I just wanted to make that public and make that very clear. We've really found it hard at least to find really short-term swing trades on Facebook. The most recent one was coming in at the beginning of May, and that was a quick short-term trade from $80 down to $77. Since then, I mean, you can just see the choppy type of price action. GoPro, funnily enough, most recently has broken out above 55.76. I did not take the bullish trade, but really since establishing that base going back to March and April, we've really been waiting for the potential rollover, which just hasn't come. And this bullish trend right here, what appears to be a bullish trend, hasn't really given us good buying opportunity. You can see once it made that earnings gap over here in late April, it pulled back down, and really the buy location was mid-May, but even that particular trade itself, on terms of risk and reward, we had an immediate target just here. It wasn't worth trying to scrape that little bit of profit up to that resistance level. At the moment, it appears to be breaking out. And you know what? I'm fine removing it from our list. I do know for a fact that we will have better alternatives out there in the world of trading in the way of stocks that we can actively swing trade as traders. So I just wanted to make that public once and for all. Outside of that, I wanted to make this recording as concise as possible. Try and keep them a little bit shorter. But when warranted, when the market makes major moves, which you need to be well aware of, I will go into more detail. However, you cannot overanalyze what has just occurred and transpired on the markets as at the close on Monday afternoon. I'll leave it at that, traders and friends right around the world. If you have any questions whatsoever, email me personally. You can find the email address in the link below. Other than that, schedule a call with me. I need to make some calls right now to a few people around the world. Have a great evening no matter where you are located. And I'm excited to see how these markets move during Tuesday's trading session, to see if we can get that breakdown below this aggressive fan line on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and also on the S&P 500 right here, which is just what I spoke about, and also on the NASDAQ, to see if we can see a little bit of commitment. We are at a macro resistance level. We should be 100% neutral, which we are. But looking at the candlesticks themselves and the overall weakness in the market, my hunch is still telling me that we are going to see another bearish pull down, at least these lower levels. Time will tell. Remain neutral until the move happens. Outside of that, have a great evening, everyone around the world. All the best. Goodbye.